Welcome to this episode of Inside the Gym. I'm Chris Gilbert, your host for this episode, and today our guest is Skip Robinson. Skip is multifaceted. He's a military veteran, IFBB Pro, and he's taken that success and become a professional model. So I wanted to have Skip on to, if anybody's ever thought about taking that direction or taking their success that they've had on the stage and moving into another avenue or just branching out, I thought it'd be great to have Skip on and kind of talk about that. So Skip, like, you don't compete anymore. How long has it been since you were on the stage?
I believe it was 2018. I think it was, and this is how I kind of judge it. It was the second year that Classic Physique was a thing. So I think Classic Physique came in like 2017, so 17, 18, the last year that I competed. Haven't really missed it too much. Do you want me to just keep on going? Because I can
keep on going. Yeah,
go right off of that. I haven't missed it a whole lot. I mean, I still train, and to go backwards a little bit, I started training, weight training, and kind of meal prepping, diet modification. All that terminology has advanced, and now it sounds super slick. But I just started eating right and training, playing to play football. I'm a jock, and so hitting the gym, changing my nutrition. I hadn't played, like we were just talking. I was in the Navy, got stationed here, and I had a friend of mine that asked me if I could still catch. And I said, yeah, I can still catch. He said, can you still run? I'm like, come on, man. So he played for the Virginia Storm, Continental Interstate Football League. And before I went out for the team, I started, I've been running, but I hadn't really been strength training or anything. So I started kind of put my own little training plan together, put my own meal plan together, went from 151 pounds to 173 pounds, and I was ready to go. So I played for the Virginia Storm 3 years. We were good. I played a lot. It was a lot of fun. It was also kind of crazy. Once I kind of wrapped that up, I kept with the training. I've always trained in some capacity. So when I modified my training into weight training and meal prepping and that, it wasn't a complete, okay, I'm off the couch, I just kind of modified what I was already doing. And so did the football, played football, kept training. Now I'm in the gym training kind of untethered. I didn't really have any goal other than I just train. It's what I do. It's what I've always done since I was a kid. I played sports as a kid. So Don Long, who, if you remember, if you've been a fan of bodybuilding for a while, Donnie Long came on in the mid 90s with a freaking wrecking ball. But anyway, he came up to me. He hadn't gotten his pro card yet, but he asked me if I was training for something at Gold's Gym in Alexandria, Virginia. And I said, yeah, I played football, ran track. And he's like, no, are you training for a show? I'm still oblivious. A show. I don't even know what he's talking about. And I just said no. And he said, well, you should think about it because you kind of have the makings for it. And the light kind of came on. I maybe asked a few people what he was talking about. So I did. I broached it with him. I laughed it off. I'm like, looking at him and looking at me and looking at the magazines, I'm not that dude. You know what I mean? And it really wasn't something I really ever even thought of, but he was right in that I had the work ethic and I had the genetics. So I went and talked to him. I said, how do I do this show thing, this bodybuilding thing? So he scripted out, we worked on my diet, and he just kind of watched me. I picked a show. That's the first thing. When people come to me and they say, I want to compete, and I did a lot of training, a lot of coaching, and that's a whole side story that I made kind of skirt because it's a tricky industry.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, we've done a couple episodes on coaching.
Yeah, it's a tough industry. He put my meal plan together, picked a show date, and I just started driving for that date. And that's kind of the linchpin to your question is how did I get into fitness modeling? But I won't jump to that just yet.
That was the next question, actually.
Okay, so I did I did probably a show a year for about 15 years.
Oh, wow.
1 year I did 3 shows, which was a colossal mistake. And Donnie told me, he said, the good ones only do 1 show a year because when you're competing, you're not growing. The off season is tremendous
Mhm.
because it's how you get big. You don't get big training for shows. You get big in the off
Right.
season. So I did
Mhm.
3 shows that like to kill me. Anyway, Constance, my wife, got pregnant with the twins, um, Olivia and Major, who went to North Point, and that's kind of how probably I saw you the first
Yeah,
time.
that's how we met.
Yeah, that's exactly how we met. She was 4 months pregnant with them. I did my last show. It was called the Body Rock. I didn't know what people were talking about. I did the Body Rock like every other year, but they're like it's the biggest. I did it because it was big, but they said it's
Mhm.
a national level show. I didn't know what
Mhm.
that meant. I'd never been to a national show. I just knew that that's where the competition was, and
Right.
I never shied away from competition. I wasn't a trophy hunter. I wanted a measuring stick. You
Right.
know, I want to go against the best. I don't want to come
Mhm.
home and say I got first out of 3 in some show that nobody knows about. So I
Right.
did the Body Rock. My last show, I was 44. Constance is 4 months pregnant. Did that, and I'm like, I've never been a dad. I know how demanding bodybuilding is. I know how demanding parenthood is. There's no way I'm going to be able to sustain both of these. I got to be a full
Mhm.
time dad. So put the bodybuilding away, and it wasn't that complicated. It wasn't that difficult. I got kids. I mean, all of that time and mental and physical energy is easily sucked up in raising twins.
Mhm.
I did keep training, but I didn't compete anymore because I'm a dad. Um,
Yeah. Now for future for referencing in a future question,
yes,
what weight were you competing at when you were on stage? What stage weight were you at?
I was always a middleweight. My first show, and I was just talking about off-season weight. My first show, I weighed in at 161 pounds, which is the very bottom of middleweight. When I won my pro card, uh, 15 years later, more than that, 17 years later, I was 176 and a quarter, which is exactly the very tip top of middleweight.
Mhm.
So I've always competed as a middleweight. Um, but I'll take a little time on that question because I never concern myself with a weight class. A lot of people are like, I want to compete. I want to be a lightweight. I want to be a heavyweight. I want to be a middleweight. I'm like, you need to get to your best and get
Mhm.
on this. And the judges will tell you what weight class you're in. Um, but you don't want to train to be a heavyweight and be wrong or be a
Right.
lightweight and not, you want to train to be your best.
Mhm.
So anyway, every year I didn't got my off season weight would go up. Every year I would gain 2 pounds of muscle, literally. Um, 2 pounds, it seemed like, if I did my homework. 2 pounds
Yeah.
on stage is significant. It doesn't sound
Oh,
like it,
huge. Yeah.
but it's significant. So I kept moving up. I'm not Goliath, but I had symmetry and balance and conditioning. And I had enough mass that I was always in the first call out. Only one time was I not in the first call out. In all those years and all those shows. And that's a
Mhm.
little gloaty, but it's really not meant to be. I was training hard. I trained to be my
Yeah.
best. Um,
Mhm.
so it put me there. It put me near the top.
Mhm.
Told you I get rambly. So 44, quit competing, just raising kids and going to the gym still, same routine.
Mhm.
I would put on my off-season weight and I would not almost, I would purposefully diet down on tax day, April 15th. I would start my summer diet with nothing in mind, just
Mhm.
because that's the routine I'd always been on. Um, Stayed on that, was still keeping my size up. And the kids were 5 now. The twins are 5. And I'm like, I think I could probably come out of retirement and do one show. You wouldn't come out and do one show, but that was my thought process. I'll
Right.
just come out, you know, get back on. And it was 9 years. Um, Actually, it was only 5 years because they're 5. So I tore my shoulder up, my right shoulder up
Oh,
badly. Took me 3 years to get back. I didn't think I'd ever get it back. I mean, my arm atrophied, my whole arm like a pipe cleaner. Had 7 screws put in it. I had a
oh,
lot of
wow.
work done on it. Yeah, it was messed up. So just stuck to my little jock mentality, and one day, stacking bricks, just train for today, and
Mhm.
don't don't get discouraged, and don't get too high, don't get too low. And 3 years, I was like, I think I can do it. And I called Donnie Long, and it had been, I don't know, 15 years. And I said, coming out of retirement, and by then there was, the internet and stuff was starting to kind of expand bodybuilding.
Right, yeah.
So what are these coaches people are talking about? So I talked to Donnie, and he agreed to coach me, and went all the way to nationals. I'd never competed in a national show. Went to nationals as a masters over 50 and won it, and got my pro card. And that was 2013, 2015. It was 2015. Okay. So did 2 pro shows. Thought I'd won my first one. Donnie was coaching me. He said, how's it feel to win your first pro show? I got second. And the reason why I mentioned the classic physique is because they started looking at me like the classic physique, and bodybuilding, they just wanted mass. So I was up there, the best conditioned and the best symmetry. And I'm saying that because I was, not because I'm having this little fantasy. They were bigger than me. They were bigger than me, but they weren't better than me. But what they were telling me was, hey, there's this other class that you would be perfect for. And I didn't want to do classic physique. I want, you know how it is. I want to do what it is I want to do. I don't want to, it was a little bit of a mumbo jumbo game, and it's all on me. I mean, it's not IFBB. They set up the rules, and the rules are the rules. I just didn't want to make that leap. So I did 2 pro shows, and that was it. Got second in the first one, fourth in the second one. I hadn't gotten fourth in a show ever. And I honestly thought I had a shot at winning the second one, but the guys that were bigger than me, all 3 of them, came in before me. So quit bodybuilding. I'm doing karate this whole time too, and we may segue into that at some point. But I quit bodybuilding. But much like football to bodybuilding, when I finally retired, still training, just like always, still off-season mass. And tax day, I start my diet right around 4th of July, middle of July. I'm darn near stage ready. Even when I wasn't competing, I was still on that same. I'm going to call it a roller coaster, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, you're still on that same schedule.
Still on the same schedule. So I kind of tripped into. I play guitar, and I have a really good friend of mine, my instructor, and I'd seen some pictures of him on stage, and I'm like, who is this photographer? Because I wanted to get some pictures of me. I didn't really get many in my bodybuilding days, because like I told you, it was kind of just, cell phones and stuff were just kind of getting cameras in them. And didn't really, and I'm not a big picture guy. I have about 0 pictures of me in the Navy, just because, what do I need a picture of it for? I'm here. So anyway, I trained, I talked to a photographer, trained for a shoot, just like I trained for a show, did pictures, and they came out really good. Shot images, and I had a couple things in mind. They came out really good. Knew some people that were kind of in the book cover, like romance novel covers. And I talked to a few of those photographers, worked with them. So got on a couple book covers. My first cover was actually a magazine. It was actually a magazine cover, and it's still probably my favorite image and cover. It came out really nice, and it captured what I wanted. This is how I look when I'm at my best at 50. I was almost 60. In fact, it was October. I turned 60 that November. I was 59 in 11 months. And I'm on the cover of this magazine, and I wanted to be able to say, just for me, I'm not going to, make a fathead and put it in my garage or anything, but, I was capable of this. Now, I'm still training and still kind of booking some shoots, but I've accomplished sort of what I wanted. I don't want to be anticlimactic, but fitness modeling wise, I proved to myself that I could do it. I did get quite a few, by my standards, quite a few solid covers, and I got a lot of notoriety. And I was just doing it because I could, not because I had some huge ego and look at me on this, look at me on that. It's not like that. I just
Yeah.
needed an outlet and training. And I kind of left this part out. I did touch on it, but training for a fitness shoot, fitness modeling shoot, it's just like bodybuilding. So it ties in to the way I train. You don't want to train the same way year round. You don't want to stay lean year round. You don't want to stay too heavy year round. You can kind of stay medium, but I like to kind of push the margins. So it just gives me an outlet to do that, to push myself. And I tell people, I did touch on this already, to get to your best. The people that I would coach, I said, and they would say, I want to be a lightweight, heavyweight, middleweight, bikini, fitness, figure,
Right, yeah.
whatever. And I said, let's get you to your best and we'll figure out where you need to be. You have these delusions of, being a light heavyweight and you come in at 176 and a quarter. Well, you're a middleweight. I'd rather be at the top of my class weight wise than at the bottom. If I had,
100%.
When I went to nationals, if I had been, and I was on the phone with Donnie, had my meal in my hand, and I'm waiting in line to weigh in, and I'm still eating. I'm eating right up to check-in because I had to fill up. That's just the plan. And what you weigh is what you weigh. It's not. I wasn't gonna not eat that fork full of food because I thought it would push me into light heavy. So I did. I took one more bite, got on the scale, 176 and a quarter, finished my meal, went upstairs, and started getting ready for prejudging the next morning.
Nice. Now,
yeah.
You mentioned like training was about the same. Was your weight different when you were modeling versus when you were competing?
Yeah. And that's for a few reasons. I would say I'm about 10 pounds lighter modeling than competing. I don't weigh myself. And it's not like I'm afraid to, or I go with how I look, and it's like I said, you got to get to your best. So my weight is not all that significant. It's how I look, but I can tell how much I weigh roughly. And I would say I'm about 8 to 10 pounds lighter when I shoot for covers.
Was that a challenge to get used to, or do you have some body dysmorphia when you stopped competing and just started modeling and knowing you were smaller than you were when you were getting on stage?
That is we talk about that, actually. That's a great question. Somewhat, but again, I'm old, and I don't mean that like decrepit, but I mean, I've already done what I wanted to do. And
yeah,
I think if I was 176 and a quarter and stage shredded, it would be a little off-putting on a cover. I mean, it would be like, Jesus, you know what I mean? Because you want to be extreme on stage. You want to be, way out in the extreme on a book cover. And this is going to sound kind of corny. You want to kind of look like a fantasy. You don't want to look like an unattainable,
Right. Yeah. You want to look like you were the peak of fitness.
Yes.
But not something that's like, no one would ever look like that. Except like the people who do on stage.
Yeah. And I've done that already. But it's a fine line. It is really a fine line. The first shoot that I did, I was tore up. I could have gotten on stage that day. Probably the first 5 shoots I did, I could have gotten on stage. After that, I had my knee replaced, and I can't really keep mass on my legs. I mean, that might can get them cut up, but I can't really get mass on my legs. And there's something about this, and you'll know because you've been in gyms and you've been training. When you have your legs engaged, your whole body understands that. You know what I mean? When you're pushing your legs, your whole body comes to attention, and I think gains come easier on your upper body when your lower body's, when you're really pushing your lower body. It's almost like all hands on deck. It just raises the bar. And I don't know how that works. I'm sure there's a science behind it, but I felt it, and I don't need to really know. I don't need anybody to confirm it for me. I know.
Yeah.
And
there is science.
Yeah, there is science behind it.
Yeah. The leg muscles are so big.
Yes.
They produce so much more of the enzymes that you need to build muscle.
Yep.
Than
that's it.
shoulders.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. yeah. Anyway, that's it. I kind of lost my train of thought a little
Oh
bit,
no,
but I
you're
think
good.
we were kind of.
So any more in modern culture, I don't know if it was always this way, like when you first started bodybuilding, but nowadays bodybuilding's a business, modeling's a business. Did you notice big differences between the business of bodybuilding and the business of modeling?
Yeah, I did. I do. Um, and I kind of touched on that because when I first started, well, I'll go all the way back to Donnie Long. When he got his pro card, he went to nationals. He won the overall for the whole show. That's the only way you get a pro card. You had to
Mm-hmm.
win the whole show. Now you'll go to a show, a national level show. They might give out 2 pro cards per class. They
Mm-hmm.
might give. It just depends. And I'll double back on me because it's all about me. But when I was training for nationals, I'm here in Maryland, and Donnie was in Jacksonville, Florida at the time, and we were just doing it by photos. And poor Mage, I'd get her up on Saturday mornings and take pictures at it had to be the same time every day. I wanted the
Right.
same lighting, the same timing, the same everything because you want the same landmarks. You don't want different lighting, different
Mm-hmm.
shorts, different time of day. I've already had a meal. I've had something to drink. I had, I was dry, just woke up. Um, and I was sending him pictures, and he was modifying this and tweaking that. Not a whole lot, but somewhat. But I could tell the pictures because I was coming in. I was coming in nicely, and
Mm-hmm.
so I actually went down to Jacksonville 6 weeks out. He was like, "Holy shit!" He's like, "Yeah, those pictures. I mean, you were good, but I didn't know." And he had a whole group he was working posing with down in LA Fitness down in Jacksonville.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went through their little posing, and he, after he saw me there, came back home, got back on the routine, and he said, "Team Universe, it was." So I trained for 14 weeks for nationals. Team Universe was 10 weeks into my 14 weeks of training. He said, "Team U is in 2 weeks. I think you could get a pro card there." 4 weeks short of my goal.
Right.
I'm 4 weeks short, but he's like, it's not a guarantee, but there's going to be 2 per class. And the way you're looking, I think you got it. And me, and again, sounds like I'm patting myself on the back, but I'm not. I alluded to wanting to be at my best. My goal is to be at my best. My goal is not to win a pro card. Um, it sounds hollow, but it's the spot on truth. I told him I want to do the Pittsburgh show because it's the time schedule that we put out there. And he was like, okay. And we did. I passed up Team Universe, and I did Masters Nationals in Pittsburgh, and there was 120 of us, over 50, 120.
Oh wow.
And yeah. And so at Team U, they gave out 2 pro cards per weight class at at uh, at Masters Nationals in Pittsburgh. They gave one for the overall winner in your Masters class. So I had to win middleweight, and then I had to beat the light heavy, the heavy, the light heavy, the what's
Oh,
the
you got to beat
next?
everybody.
I had to beat everybody. And I got up on stage. Actually, I came off stage, and Donnie said, "Man, I think you got it." The light heavyweight, he said, "The only thing is the light heavy, they know him. I'd never seen him because I wasn't a real fan of bodybuilding. I didn't go to a lot of shows. I just did the work." He
Uh-huh.
said they're gonna know him and the familiarity, blah blah blah. I hadn't even looked at the dude, and I didn't look at him when we got back up on stage. Um, we posed down for the overall, and they called my name. Actually, they didn't call my name; they called his, and I knew that was for second. You know what I mean? They called his, and then so that I knew that I had won. Um,
Nice.
yeah, and it was probably close. Actually, it was close. If they'd have called him, I don't think anybody would have complained.
Yeah.
But looking at the pictures, I had him. I had him on conditioning.
Mhm.
Yeah, I had him on conditioning.
Yeah.
So
So then I know that like having met a bunch of pro bodybuilders and had pro bodybuilders on my podcast and talked to a bunch of them, personal brand is huge
yeah,
in bodybuilding. Like how does that differ like when
yeah.
you're like trying to market yourself for modeling shoots versus like your personal brand in bodybuilding?
Yeah, it's an entirely different industry. I think, and this, who cares? So the modeling industry is full of ego,
Uh-huh.
and I'm not that. I'm just not that. I come in and I look at other covers, and trust me, I'm like, okay, whatever. You know what I mean? I could
Hmm.
beat that because I'm a competitor. I'm a jock. I'm not a
Right.
ego modeler. I'm not saying I'm handsomer than him. I'm saying my cover looks better than his because I look better than him. You know, but branding wise, it's a you just have to keep putting yourself out there. And I'll be honest with you, and I never play the race card. I just don't. Um, but when you're talking about authors that write books, um, they have a notion and they write a story and they don't write black leading men into it. You know what I mean? So they look
Hmm.
at me and they're like, yeah, he looks great, but he's not Juan, or he's not Steven. You know what I mean?
Right.
He looks like Tito. Um, but so, and I never really cared too much about that either. I just really trained to be in the mix. And I did,
Hmm.
you know, I have one author that I love, and I talked to her today. She hasn't written a book in a while, but she bought my first cover, and it's a roundabout way. It's a funny way that it happened, but she writes interesting. She likes to be outside the box, and so
Hmm.
I fit perfectly. She writes, um, kind of likes to have some layering in her books that have, different colors, different um, sexual orientation.
Okay.
She's willing to mix it up because it's sets her apart a little bit.
Right. Yeah.
Um, and so I wound up on a few of her covers, and they actually look really good. We put some good ones out there to
Nice. Yeah. I'm on
literally
your
just.
Instagram. There's a bunch of covers in there. They're pretty cool.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. So hopefully I'll get another one or two. We'll see. But you can probably hear it in my voice. It's not. I feel like when I got to started winding down in bodybuilding, it wasn't really winding down. They kind of told me, "Hey, if you want to keep doing this, you need to change classes." So I'm not doing that. Um, it's not like I feel like I've lost a kidney or a body part's been lopped off. I just move on to the next challenge.
Yeah. Hmm.
So there'll be, and I have a few other challenges in the offing. So just move towards those. Um, Branding wise, it's all about getting your name out there. Friending in with social media, you have to be in front of all the authors all the time, and your timing has to be right. They have to be writing a story. You have to have a image out there that's like, oh, that's that guy, the guy in my book. That looks like that's the image that I want. So
Hmm.
it's kind of a timing thing. Um, so you get lucky, um, and also I'll be very honest, and you'll understand this. There's um, there's a certain look that's safe. And I almost call it like McDonald's, because if you were in Egypt, Cairo, Egypt, and you could go to McDonald's in Cairo, you'd probably, if you were just Joe Average, which you don't appear to be, you might divert into McDonald's because it's familiar, it's
And it's safe.
consistent, it's safe. It's the safe bet. It's not the greatest hamburger you've ever had by any stretch,
Hmm.
but people buy them by the bag full every day. So I'll
Hmm.
get McModel on my cover. My chances of, I might not blow it out the box, but I'm also going to be safe. Safe is the right word.
Hmm.
So I do see some of that. I'm not a safe bet, and I'm not making an excuse for myself. I just think in that industry, I think I already touched on it. I'm just not. I just don't fit the market that they're trying to sell books to. They feel like, well, it's a risk if I put a black man in my story. Even though everybody preaches, what they preach, when it comes to actually, entertainment, especially
Yeah.
fantasy entertainment, that's not what I think of when I think of a hot guy. So okay, so they're not going to buy a book with me on the cover, or maybe once they've seen it, they're like, oh yeah, that's a story I could get behind. So anyway, I'm
Yeah.
a risk. I'm a risk in that way. but that's not for me to judge. I'm just
Right.
getting myself to my very best, and
But could be a risk in a good way at times.
absolutely, absolutely. I think I have been for those that have put me on covers. So my very first cover, in fact, was cover of the month on allauthor.com, which is it was a little bit of a feather in my cap for my very first cover, you know.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And there were some other people in there, some Mick covers that I got the better of, and that's the competitor of me in me
Yeah.
speaking. You know,
Yeah,
it's not
nice.
like I'm not. It's not an. I guess it is a little bit of an ego thing, but it's more of a competition thing.
Oh,
Um,
100%. Yeah.
I knew I could do that. I knew I could do it, and I did it.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, my first 3 years of running GymInformer and doing reviews, like I was competing against myself to try to get to 100 gyms a year.
sure, woof,
You know,
yeah,
yeah, year 4 is not going to be 100 gyms because I have to go way too far away to get to gyms I haven't been to. But
yeah. I see that, and I'm like, so you're at. Do you still teach at
yep.
North Point?
Hmm.
So you must take the weekends or hop in the old family truckster and just pile some miles on it.
Whenever I possibly can.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
I've put
Go ahead.
110,000 miles on my car in like 5 years or
That's
4
nuts.
years, 4 years. So
Well, gym wise, and you didn't ask me, but I'm going to tell you because it's kind of interesting. Um, I've trained across the whole gamut of gyms. I literally trained at a gym. I'm going to go from worst to first, and it wasn't actually the worst. It fit the bill. I trained at a gym in the Outer Banks that was a gym slash barbershop, and it had. I was the only one in there. It had a coffee can sitting on the outer ledge. You put $5 in it on the honor system, and you went in. It had cardio, leg sled, a Smith machine, some dumbbells, 2 barber chairs. Um, just very bare bones kind of stuff. But I was like 6 weeks out from a show. I needed to get that in. We were at my brother-in-law's wedding, and it was just the best I could do at the time. You
yeah,
know, so it fit the bill because I really needed my cardio. You know, the
I
rest of it.
trained at a powerlifting / coffee shop gym in Arkansas.
Yeah, absolutely. Um,
So
yeah, I get it. I trained in the bow of the Nimitz. It was 119 degrees, just a rusty pile of weight, and everything swaying back and forth.
hmm.
And I trained at a gym in Lucerne, Switzerland that was, now we're moving towards the other end of the spectrum. Hardwood parquet floors in the free weight section. Yeah. And then nobody ever
Hmm.
used it. Nobody ever used the free weight section. I don't remember what the selectorized machines, what brand name they were, but they were Rolls Royce. I mean, it was
Hmm.
phenomenal. And people looked at me like I was riding around on a triceratops. I was big back then. You know, I was still competing, and
Yeah.
they watched me going from machine to machine. They didn't know how the stuff worked. Most of them didn't. So they asked me a bunch of questions. It was $35 US a day in Lucerne.
Oh
Um,
wow.
yeah. Next time I went back, it was free because they remembered me, and yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Um, and then I trained at the JW Marriott in Bangkok, Thailand. Nicest hotel gym I've ever been in by not even close.
Nice.
And it was, I can't even, you know, time of day, it was 12 hours ahead. So I was doing my training, little dude with a towel and a bottle of water following me around. Every time I'd get up, he'd wipe the machine off and hand me some water. And yeah. Um, so yeah, I've been all ends of the spectrum. And the bottom line is, you know, you can make it work. You
You
just,
can get a good workout in any gym,
yes.
just about.
Yeah. Yeah. As long as the equipment is, you know, serviceable. Um,
I've left gyms for atmosphere, but not for equipment.
no, yes, I understood that completely.
Yeah, the
Um,
last gym I left in the middle of my workout was because of the atmosphere. It had nothing to do with the equipment there.
you just couldn't stay
I couldn't get
focused
into it
because it,
because yeah,
yeah,
the atmosphere was so bad. There were so many people with no gym etiquette
yeah, I
getting in my
hate that.
way, and it just
Yeah.
I was getting
Yeah.
angry instead of getting focused and concentrating.
It's hard. I know. I train so early anymore. I don't really run into a lot of like static, but I could easily see that. I used to train. My peak time for training is between 10 and 2. My body's just right for it. You've had a couple meals in, you're wide awake, your energy level's at its peak. But with work, I couldn't do it anymore, especially with the twins. So I started going first thing in the morning. I get up at 3:30. I'm at the gym by 4:30.
I train at 4:30.
Yeah. And so I don't, I see the same usual.
Yep. Same
usual
half dozen
folks.
guys.
Yeah. In fact, and now I'm just all over the place, but I've had my back, I tweaked it bad on Monday. It's been kind of, telling me that it was a little bit angry, but Monday morning I got up, I was Fred Sanford, man. I would take a step, and if you've ever had a low back issue, and I haven't had a lot, but it's almost like a muscle spasm. You bend and your back catches because it doesn't want you to move anymore. And it's like a jolt, and it's horrible. And it was almost like every other step. I would get them throughout the week, but only like a couple a day, maybe tops. And it was just nonstop. So I actually went to the gym, got on the bike. I pedal a spin bike, the old Schwinn spin bike. I pedal with the seat down like I'm standing up. So it's like I'm uphill the whole way. And I went like 8 minutes, and I had my back yanked on me. I went a couple more minutes and did it again. It was all I could do to get back in my truck and get home.
Oh, I bet.
So, yeah. So I hate missing, but I took I did a little bit Monday, and then I took Tuesday and yesterday off, went back in today and did arms. Didn't do a lot of bending over, like picking up dumbbells and stuff, because you're on one foot twisting a little bit. You don't realize it, that you're a little off balance picking up a 50-pound dumbbell. But that's the kind of thing that sends you in the wrong direction. So
100%. Yep. I've
got
to get back, doctor. I can give you offline.
Yeah. Well, I'll take you up on that, because it's awful. Low back is bad.
Oh, it's terrible. It ruins everything.
It does. But knock on wood, I feel good. I just had my dogs out, and I've kind of forgotten about it, which I don't want to do, because I don't want to go back to where I was, especially with little patches of ice still around and stuff. It's like, I don't need to be slipping away. Yeah. Anyway, I've gotten off topic a little bit. I'll let you redirect.
Totally fine. I just had a couple more questions.
Yes, sir.
So when you were getting into modeling, and you're looking back on it, are there anything that you were like, yeah, that was a mistake, I wish I'd have done that differently? Or do you not think that way?
No, I definitely, I think I know exactly what your question is. So you mean across the board, any element of the shoot, the particular photo shoot?
I don't know that much about modeling. I've never modeled.
Okay. Yeah. So, and it's funny because it's all over the place. Starting out, I was inexperienced. So the reason why I shot with the person I shot with is because I had familiarity through my guitar instructor. And then I went into the book world, and I wound up having to pay the photographer. I didn't pay him a lot, but I flew to Chicago to do this shoot. I haven't paid since, because I've evened the playing field. I was unknown until that first shoot. And then I made my mark, and photographers will shoot me because there's money to be made. If we sell a cover, you make an agreement before you shoot, but usually it's roughly a 50-50 split. I'm not in it for the money, but I'm not going to get fleeced. I train hard. I train really hard. And I know a lot of models who, I hate to downplay, but there's some advantages to just modeling, like fashion modeling, because you can come in a little bloated. Nobody's going to know. I can't do that. I got to come in stage ready in my mind, or close, like we were talking about. So yeah, it's an equitable split, but I'm definitely going to get what I deserve, because I put in a lot of work.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
So as far as things that maybe didn't go quite right, and I'll tell you this story, and if she sees it, it's too bad. This was this was a shoot that I did, my posterity shoot. Like I told you, I just wanted to do a shoot, get my on record, this is what I look like,
Mm-hmm.
this is what I'm capable of looking like. I did 2 shoots, and it started out, um, just one lady, and then she backed out of it. And so I've already started training. You know what I mean? I'm like 8
Mm-hmm.
weeks out. So I got another photographer, and she was in Florida, but then by the time we're getting closer to the shoot, she's in New York. And so I asked the first photographer, I know you're not interested in shooting me, but I know you've also got a great farm, and I just want to take a couple of cowboy type pictures. And she got back on the bandwagon. Well, I wouldn't mind shooting you. I'd like to shoot you here, shoot you there. We could do this, that, and the other. So now I got two photographers in the game on the same weekend, and they don't know each other, and it was just real clunky. So I shot with one day and one the next day. It was just awkward. Walked all over New York City the first day, the hottest day in history, and I had a suitcase full of changes of clothes. Those images are still really good, still very, very good. And the photographer, Renee Novell, she was not new, but she was relatively kind of starting out. Her gear was, rudimentary. She took some really great images that I love to this day. But this was when I hadn't had my knee replaced yet. So I'm walking all over New York with my cowboy boots on and lugging that suitcase with a bad knee. And
Yeah.
it's 98 degrees.
Oh,
Yeah, it was rough. So, and then the next day I shot with the lady that kind of flim flammed back and forth, shot with her. She took some great images. She had some Clydesdales and Belgians, shot with those, shot with two Black Angus oxen.
mm-hmm.
Um, and her husband wound up backing into my dad's car. I drove his Subaru because I was going to be in New York City and I didn't want to drive my truck. So I took the little Subaru, and her husband backed into it. He was an insurance agent. He said, don't worry about it. Just get it checked out and we'll take care of it. So I had an estimate done. I sent it to them, and they lost their freaking minds. Like, oh, that's way too much. You had existing damage. And they acted like I was just a thug thief trying to steal from them. I'm like, look, I don't know anything about, well, I do know something about car repair. I went and got an estimate. This is what they gave me. This is what you told me to do. And so they thought I was trying to get over on them. Come on, man. You backed into my car. Like I set that
Right.
up.
Yeah.
No. But they got real funny. I think it was more the husband than her, but at any rate, that completely fell apart. I got about 9 images from her. Um, and I've regretted that. I've had not a bitter taste. I've just regretted that ever since, because I hate feeling like the bad guy. I wasn't in the wrong. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I didn't do anything wrong, nothing. And it was the old, we'll block you on social media, we'll block you on the phone, we'll block you on
Oh, yeah.
email. Like, this guy's, and who knows what she probably told people. Actually, one of her friends that came along on the shoot said, you didn't do this, you didn't do that. I said, it was my second shoot. My first one was the day before. I was following you guys. I didn't know what I was doing. You
Right.
know what I mean? I didn't know. I knew how to ride a horse. I did that. But anyway, you can tell I'm kind of reliving that moment. That was the most regrettable thing that's ever happened. And that was my second shoot. Um, one of
So,
my
so you
favorite
would say
images.
definitely make sure you can have a solid relationship with your
Yes.
photographer.
Yeah. Yeah. And I learned a lot from that. I did. I learned a whole lot from that. Um, and there is a lot of that in the industry. There's a lot of, and I don't want models to get mad at me. I don't want photographers to get mad at me. The two photographers that I've really kind of hitched my wagon to are very schedule driven. So um, I can book with one of them like 6 months in advance, and we will shoot on that day, at that time, at that location. End of story. Bless you.
Hmm.
Um, and then the other one lives up the road from here, me a little bit. He lives up in like near Shepherd College, West
Hmm.
Virginia. He's
Hmm.
on the Maryland side, but it's kind of a panhandle there. So um, just recently got kind of found each other and just took some amazing photos. He's phenomenal. Took some really good images. Our rapport is good. But like I told you, I'm kind of winding down. So I'd like to squeeze out a couple more shoots with him. But, we'll kind of see how that goes. But at least I can get on a schedule. I can put a stake in the ground for my diet. That's my selfish part. And I think a lot of photographers don't, and I think a lot of people don't get that. I can't come into a shoot halfway.
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
not that kind of model. I didn't get a fake set of boobs and I just take my shirt off and you can take pictures, and there's nothing wrong with fake boobs. Don't please, hope people don't get that twisted, but I don't have that. I don't have that luxury. I have to get my body right.
Right.
Or I'm just that guy with no shirt on, and I don't, who wants to see that?
Right.
So, anyway, actually, some of my better covers, some of my nice covers, I have a shirt on anyway. But there's just kind of depends.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
So that would be the by far the rock bottom worst experience was, and it was mostly the aftermath. It wasn't the shoot, the 2 days, 2 photographers, hot summer, the whole thing, the bad knee. It was just, I was ready to be done. Backed into my dad's car, got some great images. And then all of a sudden I'm the bad guy. So,
yeah. So just make sure you can have good rapport with your photographers and
do your homework.
And that you're not over scheduling yourself.
Right. Do your homework. Talk to people that have shot with them. The good ones that I've gone to, they've, you almost don't have to talk to people. You can see their work. You can see their following. You can see the covers that they've put out or the magazines that they've shot. So you know who the good ones are. I did, and you can rein me in, but I came across a page, Instagram, that looked kind of familiar. And I realized it was a guy that I reached out to back when I was just starting. And because I didn't know what I was doing. And he told me, you don't know what you're doing and you're wasting your time with me, and you'd be wasting your time with me. And he kind of said it in that way. It was kind of harsh. I got the message and I didn't shoot with him, but at the same time, I think I wouldn't be paying him now. You know what I mean?
Right.
I've at least gotten to his level, if not surpassed it. And it took me 6 months to get there,
Yeah.
So, but yeah, do your homework. Talk to people.
Yeah. Then in hindsight, like now that you're at this point, would you have, if you had to do it over again, would you have started doing modeling earlier before you quit bodybuilding, or would you have just done it the same way?
That's a good question. I would have done it the same way. I did allude to karate. So I don't feel like I'm a natural bodybuilder. Well, I feel like I have a natural propensity to be good at it. But like I said, I don't have this drive to go to the shows and get the magazines and do all that. How many football players have football magazines? Maybe they do. I don't know. I just want to, I like pushing myself.
Right.
I like pushing myself, and it gives me the opportunity to do that. I'm sorry, I lost the question again.
I was just saying, would you have started doing it earlier?
No, I wouldn't have. I would have segued just the way that I did. I was concurrently, like I was starting to say, doing karate, and I feel like I was born to be a martial artist, and that's a whole nother side story. But I didn't feel like I was born to be a bodybuilder. I remember Michael Westbrook. You're from the area? You're from here?
No, I grew up in Indiana.
Okay, well, you probably don't remember Michael Westbrook. He played wide receiver for the Redskins.
I remember.
He's the one that caught that pass at Colorado, caught the pass from Cordell Stewart to beat Michigan. So he came to the Redskins, big, strong, fast. He never kind of fulfilled his capability. And I remember hearing a quote from him saying, I played football because I could, not because I liked it. And I understood that. And it's not the same way with me with bodybuilding, but I do it because I can. I do it because I'm selfish in that regard. I get out what I put in.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's kind of a rare thing to get that kind of return on your investment. I put it in, I'm going to get it out.
Right.
Martial arts, as soon as I stepped on the floor, which I didn't want to do, I got the kids in. My wife got the kids in. They were doing before and after care at karate, and then they were taking classes. My wife got in, and I was just going to watch. I was just cheerleading. I just had my shoulder fixed, had the little withered right arm, and the instructor told me I was going to start training in a week. And so I did. I started taking karate, and I moved up pretty quickly. And I feel like I had a really natural aptitude for it. I could speak the language. I understood. It just made sense to me. It came to me probably easier than it comes to some people. Foreign languages come easy to me, and I didn't realize that was a thing. I thought everybody could just speak foreign languages, but it's just not that way.
Oh no, I can't at all.
Yeah, it came really easy to me from when I was little. But so I feel like I'm more of a natural martial artist, and I would have, if I were going to segue into anything right out of bodybuilding, it would have been completely into martial arts. I was not thinking about, because it gave me the same type of return on my investment. You train hard, you practice, and they put you out there and you see what you got, So, but
is modeling something you enjoy?
I do like it. In fact, I enjoy the fruits of it. The actual modeling part, the posing, and it can be fun. It can also be a little grueling because I'm hungry. Usually I'm gassed. But the best part is when the photographer turns the camera around and shows you what the image looks like. You're like, oh hell yeah, I'm killing it. So
Nice.
it kind of reins you in, and you just keep rolling. I enjoy it. I enjoy the fruits of it more so than the actual 2-hour drive or whatever it is. I actually drove to Atlanta last summer to do a shoot with one of the individuals. I said you could book him 6 months in advance, and it'd be on that day, on that time. And I'd always flown. He lives in Alabama, and I'd always gone to Alabama and shot in his studio. This year, met him in Atlanta, and I decided to drive for some weird reason. North Carolina is a skinny state, but when you're traversing it, it's long as all hell. And I just, and again, I'm watching my diet, and I don't know where I'm going exactly. So it just seemed a lot longer. But for the most part, it's almost like a little vacation. And I don't want to sound like I'm just goofing off, but I get to focus my mind on something entirely outside of what I do normally.
Yeah, no, I totally get that.
Yeah. And I apologize for rambling.
Oh no, you're totally fine. It's great. So last question I had was, if there was somebody who's currently in the bodybuilding world and they wanted to get into modeling, like, is there a piece of advice that you would give them?
I would say, first, be honest with yourself. Take an assessment, look at some of the images of fitness models that you see, and ask yourself, are you on that level? Can you emulate what you're looking at? Usually you'll know, that lines up with what I'm capable of doing. And I would definitely pursue it if you think you have the chops for it. I would check my ego at the door. Don't be too, don't get your feelings all hurt, because the next opportunity is right around the corner. I would reach out to some reputable photographers. Do your homework on that. Images can make you or break you, the actual editing of the image. And there's photographers that are marvelous at editing. I've said I'm old, which I've said probably 4 times now. But so I have horrible eye bags, and I tell photographers, I might be shredded. I might look perfect. The only thing I'm going to see is my eye bags. So they usually edit those for me. And I'm like, yeah, that's better. And that's vanity. That's nothing but vanity, because I don't hate my face, but I don't want to just be focused on that.
Yeah.
But back to your question, do your homework, reach out to people that have worked with the photographer, ask yourself the tough questions. Fitness modeling, I would approach just like it's fitness. I would approach it like training. So book your shoot, train to be your, you may not have to train to be your best, but train to be your goal, whatever most shoots I'm training to be pretty hard, not freakish, not stage freakish like dry as a bone, but I want to separate myself from just the average dude, or
Right.
even
Yeah.
the good ones. I want to separate myself from the good ones.
Yeah.
So
Be lean enough that you're not going to walk around like that all the time.
right, exactly. I wish I'd have said it that way, but that's it. That's it. Did I
Yeah,
answer
because
that question?
you'll see fitness models that they have lines, but they're not deep lines.
Right. Right. Yeah, I can have lines at 220 pounds, and I'm not kidding. I was talking to one of my very best friends. He rolled into its Method now, the one in Mechanicsville.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I met him. But he came in this morning. I don't see him that much, but he got up to like 270 pounds. He's 5'10", 5. He might be 5'11". I think he's 5'10" and some change. He's gotten really big. He's gotten way up there. But he's still got some abs. You know what I mean? That's the first thing he said, but he still got abs. At 223, I still had abs. I was puffy as all get out, but I still had abs. And I didn't have abs until I didn't know how to pose abs until my very first show. I just couldn't get it. It's like a lat spread. A lot of people can't get it. Finally, I kind of relaxed a little bit and sat back. It was like poof. And I've had abs from that day forward.
Nice.
It's funny.
Now, how tall are you?
5'9".
Okay.
So I'm a tall middleweight. I know that sounds short, but I'm tall for a middleweight. At 5'9", 176 and a quarter. That's not a whole lot of thickness, but it was enough.
Yeah.
It was enough.
Yeah, you look 6 foot in your shoots.
Yeah, people say that, and they're like, "Oh, where's the rest of you?" That happened, and I'm going to go a little bit sideways again. So I ran track in college. The twins are at WVU now. I ran track at WVU, and that's how I got there. And so I had gotten recruited by a few big schools, South Carolina, Syracuse. My mom and I had just come from the Syracuse visit. They had us up, and you've heard of Art Monk, Joe Morris.
Mm-hmm.
Art Monk's in the Hall of Fame. Joe Morris is running back for the Giants. They were
Mm-hmm.
both at Syracuse. They were seniors, and they ran track, and they showed me around. They were my escorts, or however you want. They
Nice.
showed me around Carrier Dome, which they call something else now, but it was brand spanking new. It smelled like a gigantic new car. Showed me around, fed us great, went into the coach's office, and he had that look on his face like, "Where's the rest of you?" I was short for I was a high hurdler. And so the way he kind of worked, and I'm piecing this together afterwards, but he wasn't going to offer me a full ride that day. He wanted me to prove myself.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't say it that way. So we have Art. Art was a hurdler. So we don't really have a slot, so to speak, for a hurdler for your freshman year. So that's all my dad needed to hear. He's like, "Don't screw Syracuse." So got home, and my sister had taken a call from West Virginia, Coach Romanowski. And it was an afterthought. Went up and met Coach Romanowski, same look on his face. He actually had me go out in February in Morgantown, set up hurdles on the track, and had me run, which I did, and I passed. And I wound up going to WVU. Never regretted it. As soon as I finished talking to him, went back outside, I just got this vibe. It was just a place to be. But the height thing, never felt short. In high school, I was always tall enough.
Yeah.
It wasn't until college, and only in hindsight, I'm like, "Oh, they thought I was too short." They saw my times, and they're like, "Yeah, let's get this guy up here." And then they're like, "Oh, hurdles get higher in college. He's probably not gonna." So anyway, it all.
What's your
out.
average bodybuilding height though? 5'8", 5'9".
Yeah, that's it. You're right. Donnie Long's like 5'10". My buddy who was rolling around at 270, he's probably about 5'10". He doesn't compete, but because once you get, was it Paul DeLay? He was probably well over 6 feet. Arnold's actually tall, but once you start getting that tall, you have a lot of space to fill in. Lou Ferrigno, you got a lot of space to fill in. 5'5" to 5'10", it's a little easier to stay balanced.
Yeah. Your muscles are shorter. They stick out further.
Yes. Yep. And you're not moving the weight as far. People look at bench pressers that even if they're taller, they've got these Tyrannosaurus Rex arms. They've all got barrel chests and short arms. Not all, but a lot of them have very short arms and kind of barrel chested. You can't, imagine Shaq trying to bench press. He's moving.
Yeah.
It's like 3 yards of arms.
Right.
It's just not. Yeah. So yeah, you're right. Average height 5'8", 5'9".
I didn't have any other questions. Did you have anything else you wanted to tell people?
No, I don't really. I really appreciate this opportunity. I've watched you kind of do your around the world gym hopping, and I think it's very cool. And it always reminds me of the stories that I told you about training in the gym / barbershop and then training at Bangkok Marriott. But what I will say is, and you've asked me about it. So 150 Fitness, I was talking to Steve, the one who's going to be managing general partner, I guess he is.
Yeah.
I talked to him about my back. I talk to him every Friday after my leg day. I coached him. I trained him in his first show. He spoiled me because he did great. He spoiled me rotten because he did what I asked him to do, and he paid dividends. Anyway, they're still working on getting open, but I can't. And I'm not talking badly about Method or anybody, but I'm excited to get up there. They've got some.
I'm excited to see what they're doing.
Yeah, I'm supposed to meet him up there. They have a T-shirt for me, so I'm supposed to meet him up there and kind of see how it's going. But if you go up there, if you make plans to go up there, let me know, and I'd like to meet you up there.
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
If it works out that
100%.
way. So cool. Kind of excited to make that move.
Oh yeah, definitely. Can't wait to see it. Thank you for coming on.
If you enjoyed this podcast, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more great content.